Okay, a key part of the processing aspect is this idea of a system having musical knowledge. So in order to prevent randomness, the system must have some musical knowledge or knowledge of the piece, or we can call this the score, or both. So the interactive system's behavior can therefore be said to be score-driven in that it responds to the fixed score that it's taught in some way or holds in its memory in some way, or it can be performance-driven, or it can be somewhere in between the two. So in the example where we provided specific musical triggers, so we've got this example in our live set here. Sorry, not there. This bit here. So we've got these two melodic sequences, okay, and they cause something to happen. So this is the system knowing that this is a kind of significant moment in the piece's score. Okay, so it goes, okay, we've got to that bit of the score, I'm going to trigger scene 1. We've got to this bit in the score, I'm going to trigger scene 2. So the system therefore has some kind of knowledge of the piece that we've given it. The other thing that we can do is to give it some kind of general musical knowledge. So in the previous system that we did in that we expanded on in week 2, what we did is we gave it a knowledge of major and minor scales and the ability to detect those, so that when so it could play basically in any key and could detect major and minor and respond accordingly. So that's more kind of a player paradigm, it's called. So it's where it's performance driven, so it can be used in more musical contexts. Okay. However, where we want the system behavior to be very specific, we use score following, because this can give lots of variety sort of within a piece, so we can have very dynamic system behavior within the same piece, which can make things more interesting. It's particularly appropriate when we've got fixed structures like we do in popular music. So there's more on this in my paper from NIME in 2016. Score following can also be made more robust by using multiple triggers and conditions. These can be implemented using if statements and Boolean logic. So, for example, we can say if a certain note is present or a certain sequence of notes is present and the signal input level is above a certain threshold, then do something. Okay, so that makes the system much more robust in following the score. We can also do something like if this bit of the piece has already happened, so if you already detected this event, then you can do this, but if you haven't detected that yet, then don't do it. So this means like sections of a piece can only happen in a certain order, again making it more robust. So yeah, this is something I did quite a lot in my PhD. So you can only trigger a chorus after a verse, and you can only trigger a verse when you're in a chorus, and you can only trigger a middle eight after the second chorus, and so on. The ultimate goal for some people, though, is to give it enough intelligence and musical theory to be able to respond to a performer without the need to teach it. And then it can be used in lots of pieces. So some systems, particularly reflexive systems, have the ability to learn as they go, and their response gets ever more complex. I think that's kind of a bit beyond the scope of this module, though. I think if you're kind of doing some basic score following, like I've shown you in the live project here, you're doing pretty well. Okay. So let's leave that there. In the next video, we'll talk about response.